I have a question
Okay.
for you. It's kind of about like the kinds of songs that I want to put out and whatnot.
Yep.
So recently, that was a really chill, kind of like relaxing song. It wasn't hype or anything. And a lot of the kids at my job, they're like 10, 11-year-olds. They all love it, you know.
Yeah.
And the next song that I'm working on, the song that I spilled last week, it's obviously more of like an anthem, turn-up kind of song. And then this one's kind of a more vibey. Should I not try and do all these different types of songs? Should I try and stick to one kind of song? Or should I keep doing different tempos and different styles, rapping on all kinds of different beats and whatnot, you know?
So the answer is yes and no. The answer is, when you're starting out, when you're in developmental, which is where you're at, you're developing, try your hand at everything. Try your hand at every tempo, try your hand at every vibe, try your hand at every cadence, try your hand at everything that you like. The most important thing is, do you like this stuff, right? So try everything you can and see what works for you. Once you figure out what works for you, then go all in on what works for AJ and AJ's sound. This is what I mean. When you're developing as an artist, and some people are going to hate me for this, but when you're developing as an artist, it's important to try different vibes, different textures, different colors, different beats, different BPMs, different auto tunes, whatever. Just experimenting and trying, right? You're developing. When you are doing an official product launch, AJ is dropping his first single. You're going to do a series of singles. You're going to do a series, I don't know, of music videos, whatever. I think at that point, when you're trying to really build an audience, you found what you're good at. You found what the sound you love. You've developed it. I think being multi-dynamic or multifaceted or multi-genre or having range, I actually think that's overrated in this current climate. And this is what I mean. If you can do 10 different things. You can do auto-tune, you could do trap records, you could do boom bap records, you could do, love songs, you could sing, you could do disco dance records, you could do Afrobeat, right? And there's some of you guys that thinking like this is how you get on, is just do everything, right? And this is not how you get on. You get good by trying different things and figuring out what works for you. But having range as an artist that's trying to build an audience is overrated, because some people are going to come to you and they're going to be like, yo, I came to AJ because AJ had this really cool trap song, and it was the song that made me jump around for my youth group, and I was jumping up and down and it was fun. And then you're going to hit them with a boom bap record, and you're going to be giving them the J. Cole, the bars, the lyrical miracle. And they're going to be like, this isn't why I came to AJ. I came to AJ because AJ makes me want to jump around and turn up with my youth group. Now he's talking about his life and everything he's going through. So I say all that to say, range as an artist that's trying to find his audience is overrated. Look at the artists that have exploded in the last 5 years. Really examine the artists who've exploded in the last 5 years. They are not people who did it showing a bunch of range and rapping on 25 different instrumental types and BPMs. They usually stay in one pocket and they milk that pocket really, really, really well. So, who are some examples? NF stays pretty much in the same pocket. As he was coming up, I would say the majority of his music was in the same BPM. You know what you're getting, and that's what makes him genius. You know what you're getting. You aren't going to a buffet when you're listening to NF. You're going to a very specific kind of diner that serves a very specific kind of food. Look at Russ. Russ, you know what you're getting with Russ. Russ does 1 or 2 records, right? He does the motivational record and he does a love record. And they're kind of all in the same tempo range. Toby, right? Toby, I reference him a lot. I would argue that the majority of Toby's music it's very likely it's in the same BPM, meaning it's in the same tempo. He uses the same type of cadences. And then sometimes he'll do a totally different thing where he'll do Try Jesus, Not Me, right? Which is completely different than anything he's done. But by and large, he has a pocket, he has a lane, he knows his BPM. Once an artist is on, once an artist has a massive audience, and once an artist is now taking stabs at radio and trying to do different things, once that artist is there, then they start diversifying and experimenting. So we saw Kendrick 10 years ago get on doing the same kind of songs. He had some range, but by and large, the same kind of songs. And now, if you listen to like his first record, right, Good Kid, Mad City, same kind of records, right? He showed a little bit more range on To Pimp a Butterfly, and then once he became a pop star on Damn, then he had pop records, then he had different tempos, right? Then he would go from trap to boom bap. Same thing for Drake. So I think by and large, experiment in the beginning process, find what you like, find what you like, find what you like, find what you like, find what you like. Figure out the sound, figure out the tempo, figure out the bounce of the drums, figure all that out, and just go all in on one sound. This is how you launch a product. You don't launch a product with 5 variations of it. You launch one product, and then maybe you do 2 color schemes. Then you once you get really big and massive, then you diversify. I'll give you a very, very, very real deal, tangible example. The year was 2012. We were a group called The Breaks. We found a degree of success by dropping in 2011 a weekly single of remixes from fans' submissions, right? So people would be like, I want you to remix the new Lil Wayne song. And we would do a remix to it, right? And we would do these remixes every week. But our music was straight boom bap. It was, you know, the same kind of BPMs. It had a very specific vibe to it. And then we got an opportunity to do a ton of shows with Lecrae, and this is like right as Lecrae was really, really taking off, right? And this is before he crossed over. This is Church Clothes 1, Lecrae. And we would go do these shows, and why we got the opportunity to do those shows is because we were the Breaks. We were the lyrical miracle boom bap rappers. That is why people loved us. That is what that is why the mixtapes were dope. We had a DJ, we had scratching, it was an underground aesthetic, right? And then we started doing these shows. We started doing these shows with Lecrae, and the people there just wanted to do this. They just wanted to turn up and jump around, Lord Jesus, I jump around, jumping around, and right? That's all they wanted to do. And what we did is I compromised. I started trying to cater to the CHH audience, and that costed me more than had I just stuck to my guns. And then I started all over. Then I experimented and found what I like. And I literally came full circle to the same type of music I was doing 10 years ago. I'm making the same type of music now. It's cleaner, it's refined. I know the tempo I live in. So even features, don't send me anything if people want to hire me for a feature, which I don't do too often. I don't want anything that's slower than 80 BPM or faster than 100 BPM, preferably 90 BPM. I live in that world. I know my lane. I know what I'm good at. And I just lock in. Trying to show too much range early, it's a bad look, bro. It's a bad look. So as you're experimenting, bro, find what you like. You might find a really cool auto-tune thing, and you might be like, wow, this is cool. You might be the guy that makes all the wavy records, or you might be the guy that just gives people bars and the lyrical dude, right? Find what you like. Find what you're good at. Get feedback. Get advice from people. If you want to make saucy music, are you a saucy guy? Are you that cool guy? Are you that guy that just everybody wants to hang around? You're the guy with all the drip. You're the guy with all the cool shoes. You're really that hype beast kid. Are you that guy if you want to make that kind of music, right? And so find what works for you. Once you find what works for you, scale it and make a lot of it and release a lot of it. And then once you become a star, then start diversifying. But people don't go to artists because they're thinking they're going to a buffet. That is not why people listen to music. People go to artists, especially independent artists, because they want what that person provides for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's really interesting. I don't think I've really heard it said like that. I think I've heard people say, like, people are looking for a unique sound from artists coming up. Mm-hmm. And then I've also heard some people say the exact opposite, that artists, when they're coming up, try to play it safe on purpose and don't do other things because they don't want to push away audiences by being experimental. So it's never been in the vein of trying different things, but it's been more so, are you with the grain or against the grain, like sonically?
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting way of putting it. So thank you.
Just last point on this, I would say, hey, are you with the grain or against the grain? That's a great way to look at it. I would say, are you making art that is original, yet is familiar, right? A true art is a combination of originality and familiarity. So you can't just start rapping over nothing but reversed instrumentals. Like, yo, I'm gonna be the guy that just raps to reverse instrumentals, right? You're like, what? No one wants to hear that. It's freaking weird, right? But if you can incorporate something that's unique and you add a unique twist on something, however, it's still familiar. People, I've kind of heard this before. I feel it. Even if they can categorize it, put it somewhere, they feel where you're coming from. So originality, familiarity, find that pocket for yourself. I think if you could do that, AJ, but it might take you 20, 30 attempts to get there, 40, 50, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to take some time to find your voice, and that's okay, and have fun, experiment. But a lot of this is going to be about, AJ, you growing in self-awareness and asking yourself, who are you? Not to be negative about Logic, right? But Logic is like the quintessential, I'm a nerd, I like video games. He has a Twitch deal, but he tried to come in the game as like the wavy cliche rapper, and that didn't work out so well for him, right? Because there was just too many weaknesses and too many blind spots that he left himself open to a lot of critique. And then all the critique came, oh, you're a biter, you're a copycat, you're always talking about being biracial, you really kind of pander to people, you have a very vague message, peace, love, and positivity. And he wasn't equipped to handle that kind of criticism. My theory is because he was incongruent to who he really was, which was a gamer and nerd, to what he projected, and it was incongruent. It wasn't one and the same, right? So, like, I don't make crazy wavy music. You're not gonna hear Ruslan with autotune. I'm not that guy. I'm not that wavy cool guy in real life. I'm me. I'm smart. I like to think. I'm intellectual. I like to have deep conversations. So my music is gonna sound like that. If me trying to make a bunch of wavy stuff, it's just not gonna work out. You know what I mean? So you gotta have self-awareness, AJ. You got to figure out, what are you about? Who are you in real life? And can you amplify those parts of your personality? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do, right? Those types of things. And so I'm way more of an athlete than I am the cool guy, right? And athletes tend to be more intense. They tend to be a bit standoffish. They tend to be hyper-focused. That's who I am in real life, so I want my music to amplify that. I'm not going to make a bunch of jump around, turn up. We're doing records for the youth group. I don't even really like performing at youth groups. That's not even my lane. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to ask yourself some of those questions, man. But that's a fantastic question.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.